We're back with more on the WHHI News. Joining me now is 14th Circuit Solicitor Duffie Stone. He's here to talk about the loophole in the homicide by child abuse law and what we can do about it. Duffie, great to see you.
Great. Thank you for having me.
Well, listen, I have to first of all say I came from New England. When I first moved here, solicitor, what is that? But you are the same as a district attorney, is that right?
That's right. And you're not the only one that moved here from somewhere else.
Yeah, that's true, isn't it? But so you're an elected.
I am.
Yeah,
I am the elected district attorney for the 14th Circuit, which includes Beaufort County, but 4 other counties as well.
Right, and you've been in that job for a long time now.
Since 2006.
Okay. I had seen the interview the Island Packet did with you about this loophole in the homicide by child abuse law. Explain to me what's this about.
Well, we had I tried a case in August in which a woman left her 13-year-old daughter in the back of a car in August for 6 hours. The child suffered from cerebral palsy, and because of the limitations on her physical ability, she wasn't able to free herself from the car. We tried the case. It took us a week to try the case. It was textbook homicide by child abuse, and South Carolina has a homicide by child abuse statute. The problem is it only applies to children under the age of 11.
And Christina was 13,
She was 13, and despite her cerebral palsy limitations, there was no statute that specifically fit. We ended up having to try the case as a murder case. We got a conviction, but it was much more complicated than it needed to be. This statute needs to say that a child is the same as we all think of a child, as someone under the age of 18. And so hopefully there are two bills pending now. One is in the Senate and one is in the House to change this, and we're hoping, despite the fact that we've got a relatively small window of opportunity with the legislature, we could hope to get that fixed this year.
Great. Now, you had made a point too, I think, that you're considered a child till age 18, and this is also true in the court system, correct?
That's right. Well,
you're not tried as an adult unless it's an exception.
And relatively recently, they raised the age for juveniles in court, and so regardless of the charge, under a child if a child is an offender, if they break into a house, if they shoot somebody, they're considered a child until they're 18.
Right.
Our laws, however, do not recognize the same for victims, and that needs to change.
Seems inconsistent. I mean, how hopeful are you that something will pass, either the Senate version or the House version? Will they come together and kind of work things out?
I think so. I brought this up in a solicitor meeting. I was surprised to know that there were 2 other solicitors that had pending cases that were similarly situated.
Really?
And the 2 members of the General Assembly, one is Speaker Pro Tem Tommy Pope, and Senator Alexander, who is the president of the South Carolina Senate. Both were in the room. Both have introduced legislation that is almost identical. And so I'm hopeful. I think they're well placed to get this done, and I hope that they'll be able to get it done this year.
Do you see a role for the public, people like me or people watching, in helping to make this move forward? I mean, should we contact our senator or our...
I think it's always a good thing for the public to weigh in. I have spoken to our delegation. Everyone seems receptive of it. I haven't seen anybody that has explained to me why this loophole is there.
Is it just something that was not seen? I mean, it was overseen or what?
I have not had a single legislator tell me, oh, this is why this is in there. So I expect it to get changed. It certainly needs to be changed. I think most people would consider a 13-year-old a child, and it certainly is inconsistent with that same 13-year-old were they charged with a crime, they would be considered a child. So I hope they'll get this fixed this year.
Boy, this trial that you prosecuted her parents, I mean, that got a lot of media attention.
It was a tough case.
So sad.
And here's the point of all of this. When I got to my closing argument on this case, I told them, look, you know what happened. It's just a question of what you call it. And it's a question of was it murder, was it involuntary manslaughter, what was it? And that was the part that needed to be simplified. That was the part that
So if the law had been in place for up to age 18, you wouldn't have had to say,
that's correct,
consider it homicide.
That's correct.
It would have been considered that, correct?
That's right.
Yeah, 6 hours in the car, I mean.
6 hours, the temperature outside the car hit over 90 degrees. Inside the car, we brought in an expert from the University of Georgia that testified that the inside degree of the car reached probably close to 118 degrees, and with heat index, that was 135. Pathologist said the child probably did not survive past two hours.
Well, listen, Solicitor Duffie Stone, 14th Circuit Solicitor, we appreciate your time, and we'll check in with you again.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it, Allie.
And we will be back in just a moment.